you're getting people to meet that wouldn't normally meet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody in biotechnology in Houston meets a farmer from Lubbock, and you would think, what the heck do they have in common? And the next thing you know, you find out that they're working on a big biotech project.
Tell us about yourself.
Oh, man. Well, I'm a native New Yorker, moved to Texas in 1993. And like a lot of people, I came here with the plans of probably going back to my hometown, and that never happened. I moved here, came down in, like I said, 1993. I was interested in kind of getting out of New York. Just want to explore. I was a young kid in my 20s. Fell in love with the state, decided to move here, started a career, and I've been here over 30 years. And now I have first generation Texas kids.
Nice.
And proud Texan.
So Ed, talk about New York, right? Where in New York? Let's just start there. Are you from the city or from the upstate?
Yeah.
Born
in the city, born in the Bronx, actually. Big Yankees fan. Have a lot of relatives that still live there. They're all tough kids from the Bronx.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. We moved upstate when I was about 6 years old in Orange County, a little northwest point. And spent my whole life up there. It was great. I mean, we played baseball in our backyard. I mean, that's how big it was. Lots of land. And, you know, like most kids, you want to aspire to move to the city and experience the Big Apple. And I did that for a few years, and I loved it. But I wanted my own backyard. You know, I didn't want to do the commute on the subways and
the grind.
But I didn't want to move back upstate New York because there was nothing going on back there. So, yeah, it was like early 90s. Dallas and Atlanta were like the big cities. And I came down here with a friend and had no plan and fell in love with it and decided to move here. And it's been great.
How did you end up in banking? What was that journey like?
You know, when I moved down here, I worked in Manhattan in advertising. So we sold like commercial airtime. Mm-hmm. And I hated it.
Must have been tough.
It was tough. I hated it. It was really tough. But I came down here. I wanted to go back to school, get an MBA, and go back to Wall Street. And never ended up doing that. Got my MBA and ended up getting into commercial banking with a bank called Comerica Bank at the time. Yeah. And that's what led me into commercial banking. I was doing that for about 25 years.
25 years. Do you miss it?
No.
No. Do you want to think about it for a minute?
You know, I miss meeting the business owners, touring factories and plants. I actually loved structuring deals. The part of it that I didn't like once I get to the kind of the executive level was a lot of the political posturing.
Sure, the things that come along with that.
Just the, corporate stuff.
That's the world.
So I was fortunate to get out of it.
Texas, you land here in Texas, you're working here in Texas. Yeah. And how did you get inspired through that, journey here in Texas to really almost take it even further, to point out the state itself and the opportunities that I know you immediately gravitated towards? Yeah.
The first thing I noticed when I moved here is that the people were extremely welcoming, but like in an interesting way. I had a much stronger New York accent back then, so everyone I met made fun of me, but like in a nice way and in an endearing way. And so I enjoyed it. And then when I got into commercial banking, I would never forget this. I inherited a portfolio from my boss. And he said, look, just, here's some lower level clients, just try to keep these accounts going. And I took on the portfolio, and about a week later, he quit, went to work for another bank. And what I realized was he took the portfolio that he was going to call and gave it to me. He's actually still a very good friend, but he figured, hey, if I give it to the new guy, he's from New York, I'll be able to just call them all up and say, hey, come to the new bank. So I looked at it as a challenge, and I went out, I met all of the clients. I'm a young kid from New York. You don't know me from a hole in the wall, and we want you to stay with the bank. And it was a great experience for me because maybe I lost one client. I mean, all of them said, look, don't know who you are, hope you do a good job, do me right, and I'll stay with the bank. And I've lived by that motto in Texas ever since.
So let's talk about YTexas.
Yeah.
The book that you wrote, I think encapsulates everything that we're seeing kind of play out here, the culture of the community, the opportunities that are here. But you took that a step further and you started to create these events. And that's where I think we really connected. And I saw it in the best stadium there is. You went big right out of the gate, and I love that. I mean, that's the Texas way. But talk to the folks about why Texas is doing, the focus of it, the mission.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the focus, I think, is connecting the state a little bit better than maybe it currently exists. And there's people ask me this all the time. We're not solving a problem. We are just I think, capitalizing on a lost opportunity. And that is, we've got over 30 million people that live here. Over the last 20 years, we've added 10 million population. People are coming from all over the world. And if the true spirit and quality of Texas are in its people and its community, let's help connect the dots for a lot of people that are new here. So the idea really was just to create a welcome wagon for new people that are coming into Texas, kind of like myself and others that, came here by accident and decided to spend the rest of our lives here. And from a business standpoint, just build a community where you're getting people to meet that wouldn't normally meet. Somebody in biotechnology in Houston meets a farmer from Lubbock, and you would think, what the heck do they have in common? And the next thing you know, you find out that they're working on a big biotech project or something like that. We're taking a mayor from a small town and introducing her to an executive in Dallas. And big things happen, because they have a lot of things in common. One, they're very passionate about the state. And then number two, they've got something to take care of in their city or their company. And it's been pretty cool to see a lot of big opportunities blossom by just connecting people that wouldn't normally connect.
So Ed, help our audience really understand what it is. Is it an event? Is it a chamber of commerce?
Yes.
Because we have listeners from all over the world.
Yes.
And I love the model that you have. Yeah. I remember one of the things that first resonated with me was that, dude, this is B2B. Like, this is just businesses doing business together on their own because there was that opportunity. But for the audience, explain it more.
It's always been difficult because we try to think like most startups that we came up with an idea that's a little bit different. If you were to compare it to something, and I don't like using this, it's essentially like a chamber of commerce for people in Texas that are growing their businesses. I like to define it as a community. It's people who join the organization as a member, attend events, reach out and call me or anyone in the network if they need any help meeting someone or learning about some new project or legislation in the state, and just being a resource for them to grow.
Actually, I think you blended them really nice together. It is a startup chamber of business leaders that want to actually talk and work with each other.
Outside of any, we're not an association, we're for profit, so we don't speak on behalf of our community of people like chambers do. We don't get involved in policy. We just want to help people grow, and feeding off of the pride in being a Texan is really kind of our brand. I mean, and it's taken me a while to realize that, but that's really our brand is, we're Texans and we have an obligation, for the country and the world. Texas is leading.
Yeah. And
it has to continue to grow.
Talk to the audience about your first big YTexas event. What was that like?
Oh my God. Ever?
Well, never. Yeah. I mean,
I'll tell you ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ever.
So I came up with the idea when I was a banker, and I joined the chamber with a program called Leadership Dallas. They still have them at Leadership Austin. I don't know if you ever did it, but you should do it.
Okay.
It's kind of like an orientation of the city.
Oh, wow.
And the chamber selects, 50 to 100 people to go through basically like a 9-month orientation of the city. And you just learn about the history of the city. It's fantastic.
That's amazing.
You got to do it.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And I was able to do that in Dallas. And one of the segments that they put us through was the history of Dallas. And one project that they talked about was why Boeing decided not to relocate their headquarters to Dallas. And this was probably back in the, maybe in the 80s, 70s or 80s. And what they learned was that the Boeing executives, when they came to Dallas, they brought their spouses, significant others, and they had the deal in paper. We're moving to Texas, got low taxes, lots of innovation, colleges and universities. But the family members didn't feel like there was any culture in the city. They didn't feel like their kids would be able to, kind of grow up and build their own families in Texas. And so Boeing decided we're going to stay in Chicago. We're not going to move. And it was a case study that really struck home with me because I experienced it as a 20-year-old kid, just kind of moving into the state. And I said, you know what? You're right. Like, there's an opportunity here for us to really tell the Texas story. If on paper, these companies are going to move here for the taxes and the regulation and all that, and maybe that cultural piece is missing, let's tell that story. And I came up with an idea, just to answer your question, to host an event at a hotel owned by a gentleman who moved here from Atlanta. And I literally knocked on his door and I said, hey, I have an idea. I want to invite in about 50 people, and all I want you to do is get up and tell us your story, how you got to Texas, what you're looking for. And he was like, oh, well, why do you want to do that? I said, I just want to see if this concept would work. And he's like, okay. I said, you don't have to pay anything. I'm just going to bring everybody in, and hopefully they'll stay at your hotel at some point. And I called the developer of the hotel, him, a couple of investors. We literally invited 50 people, free beer. And
that helped.
That helped. And he got up.
Shinerbach.
He not only told his story, but he started crying. And it was very emotional because he talked about how his family didn't want to move here, but he needed to make a move, and he looked at Texas as an opportunity. And at the end of the event, he came up to me. He's like, man, this is unbelievable. What can I do to help you? And I said, I think you've already helped. I think we came up with an idea, and pulled everyone in the room. I said, hey, if we do more of these, would you guys be interested? And everyone said, yeah. So kind of started the model in Dallas, and then fast forward, try to do the same thing in Austin and Houston. And it's, been doing that for a while.
What are you seeing right now through these YTexas events that you're hosting?
Yeah.
Like, what's next for you? Or do you need more help and support, or how can people get involved?
Yeah. Well, it's like any business. When you try to grow or scale or expand, you face different challenges. But to use the example that I gave you in Dallas, with the company moved from Atlanta, we've been doing events like that now across the state in cities that you wouldn't even think of, doing something like that. For instance, in Brownsville or Bastrop, or even just recently in Fort Worth. And I think what we find is that even though, Texas is eighth largest economy in the world, we've got, like I said, over 30 million people that live here. Brownsville is Brownsville. It's just a city. It's a region, but it's in the middle of unbelievable opportunity. With, of course, SpaceX and, now the recent announcement about some ship manufacturing companies.
Absolutely.
And when you host an event like that in Brownsville, and you say to people, just stand up and tell your story about how you're a fifth-generation Texan, and, you want to help SpaceX be their largest supplier for whatever material it is that you sell, it's the same response. You get the crying. You get the worrying about the next generation. It's really cool to see it. So doing these events in different regions and trying to connect them all to this larger concept of, the rising tide raises all boats, and convening them and helping us grow our organization is where we're at. And
so your biggest supporter in that space are they the EDCs, or are they some of the corporates that would help you kind of bring this to the city? Like, who reaches out to you?
Again, it's mostly companies. A big partner of ours have been the colleges and universities. It's like any company. When you start, you have to have a value proposition.
Absolutely.
A lot of times companies don't even know what their value proposition is. We were first, in line for that one. We knew we had a mission, we had a vision, but how do you monetize it? Like, how do you get people? I never wanted to be a nonprofit. I never wanted anybody to give us money and say, hey, we love what you're doing. Here's a few bucks. No, no, no. I want money because you see value in what we're doing. So for years, while we were getting funding, I felt like people were giving us money because they're like, look, we love what you're doing. Well, over the years, we've been able to add value to the organizations that you were mentioning. I'm not the EDCs in the cities. We haven't really fully gotten there yet. But for the companies that are operating in those cities, for example, that Atlanta-based hotel, they see a ton of value in us giving them access to people that could help them grow.
Sure, it's exposure.
And then giving them branding. You know, hey, there's an Atlanta-based company that moved his whole family here that wants you to stay at his hotel. So those two things have been kind of the value proposition. But that applies to almost any company, a startup company that's looking to raise capital, a Fortune 500 company like Intel or others that have been, you know, fortunate partners of ours, colleges and universities, and then, you know, the last leg of the stool, I think, is getting the chambers, the EDCs, the other organizations that are huge resources to these companies that we can work with.
Sure. Yeah, it's collaborate. Absolutely. Yeah, this is not a competitive landscape. I've never approached that. It's more of, hey, we do similar things, but there's unique value propositions, and let's focus on that, like to complement each other.
Yeah. But when you're breaking into a new market or new industry like what you and I are doing, you're always going to get that. And but that's healthy. Yeah.
I think absolutely the antibodies until they figure out it's fight or flight, and it's all about protection,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
It's a great thing. Look, we all want Texas to succeed. I think the next generation is a big part of what should be very important to the state.
What are you excited about where Texas is going?
Oh my gosh, just every industry you can think of is favorable to Texas. You know, whether it's the AI race, whether it's sports and entertainment, I mean, or whether it's, you know, business services, financial stock exchanges. It's literally, I can't think of an industry where there's not opportunity here.
And that opportunity extends holistically, right? Not just the personal, but the professional in that way. So it's not specific to just one domain, one industry. It really is. I have to tell you, we see companies domestically and internationally come through here, and I say, something will remain here in Texas. It's just welcome, right? Whatever that is, like you're either going to set up your corporate headquarters here, you're going to hire somebody from Texas. Okay. You yourself may end up moving here. It's like, welcome to the club.
Exactly.
Welcome to the club.
Exactly. And, you know, your industry, you know, national security and defense, I know you've got a lot of industries you focus on, is a huge opportunity for Texas, but also the nation.
Big time.
And that's why I'm actually, you know, the next 10 years for us is, you know, not necessarily Texas versus everyone else. It's Texas and everyone else. Yes. And I think for that, your industry, national security and defense, and you know, that's the story.
It really is. I mean, I love that you said that, Ed, because that's the awareness to know that it is not just one state when you talk about things at the national level, right? Knowing what industry you're at. Let's just say, I was just on a call today with some companies about understanding the military medical community. And I said, well, which part? Because there is a function of that here in Texas, but there's also a function of that in Maryland. And there's a function of that in the Virginia area. And then there's military hospitals everywhere across the world, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. So it's really understanding that. But what value can you being here in Texas gain from being here? Number one, the knowledge, the business culture, all the things that you and I know. And that's where I say something's going to stick.
Yeah.
Something's going to stick. But we're collaborative, and we understand that we want to share in the opportunities with other nations and other states as well.
Yeah.
It's critical. And quite frankly, I know you probably have been approached, or if you haven't, they should, other states to see this model that you built out, to understand how it works, right?
Yeah.
And replicate it, right?
Yeah. We've had companies come to our events and say, hey, would you consider doing something like this in our state? So, you know, yeah, there's lots of opportunity out there.
That's good. So one of the questions that we ask during the podcast that where did you get your inspiration? I think you addressed that, but the other is books. Do you have a favorite book that inspired you, that kind of motivated you, aside from just being in the world, or was it an individual that really kind of helped you along in your journey?
I think it was just a life experience, being in your your early 20s, just trying to figure out life, moving here and realizing just how great of a place this is. And, I'm a big fan of any Malcolm Gladwell book. Good to Great is one of my favorite books, even though it's obviously not written by Maxwell. Yeah. I don't do a lot of fiction reading. It's mostly, business.
Right.
And just the innovative mindset of all of these interesting people in Texas have all been, a huge inspiration for me to stay here. And I'm very, very close to my family. So when I left New York, my family, it was tough on all of us. And still 32 years later, I still don't see them as much as I need to. But
are they going to want to come?
My mother has come and stayed and ended up moving back. My sister had a baby and she had to move back, wanted to move back to New York. So yeah, being away from family has always been tough. But they're, of course, always my inspiration to kind of keep doing what I'm doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we ask is, obviously through the course of this conversation, that you're on a mission.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we ask, when you think about mission in the movies, you're usually given a call sign. Normally you don't get to pick your call sign. Mm-hmm. It's chosen for you. But in this, I'll ask you to choose your own call sign if you had to choose one. Whether it be Maverick or Goose. Like, if you had to give yourself a call sign, what would it be, Ed?
Oh, man. Community.
Community.
Maybe.
I like it.
Yeah. I think in this day and age, that's really the most important thing for anyone in the world, really, there's a lot of noise, a lot of things going on, a lot of opportunity, but also, challenges. I think that we don't know what things will bring. But at the end of the day, if you're connected to your community, that's the most important thing.
Do you travel around the world at all, or travel?
No, not as much as I need to.
Yeah.
But, I've obviously through you and others met a lot of people from all over the world.
Right.
That are curious about Texas. And then, of course, when they get here, they're impressed.
Very much. Do you deal a lot with the Texas government at all? When you mentioned policy, I think it was, not that that's something you guys take on, but I'm sure you're aware or aware of the policy. I think when we had done a panel, you had talked about the legislation. You had hosted something about the legislation.
Yeah,
so even YTexas focuses on that as well. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's just educating them on how Texas is different than other states. So, a lot of the state commissions, whether it's Department of Transportation, the Space Commission, we're friends with Norman, and all of these people that are leading these state agencies or funds or incentive programs are people that people need to know. And, so we like to get to know them so that in the event that someone needs to learn more about their fund or their organization, that we can pick up the phone and call them. So, yeah, they're huge assets to us.
I think that's one of the special sauce, recipes or critical ingredients of Texas is how they legislate. I thank you for having me at that event, because that's where I really learned about that process and really how, as infrequently as it meets is part of the power of that.
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
That's every 2 weeks in California.
Yeah. Well, we should have a bingo card of how many times that state would become when you start about the compare and contrast. Ed, thank you so much. But before we wrap, I would love to know, if you were in my position, who would you have to interview next? Who would you love to bring into the seat behind you?
Yeah. You should have the exchanges on here, the stock exchanges. That's fascinating story. You've got NASDAQ, who just had the largest IPO in history. And by the way, SpaceX was dual listed.
Oh,
So it's listed on NASDAQ, but also on NASDAQ Texas. So that's a story in itself.
I didn't read that anywhere.
The Texas Stock Exchange is up and running, but I think they'll be trading, sometime here shortly. And then NYSE Texas, which is run by Brian Daniel, who used to, work for the governor. Any one of those three, you should have on here, and maybe we can help make that happen.
All right,
that would be my suggestion.
Well, I love that. One of the things is a takeaway from this podcast is that I want to do regular YTexas events here at Cube Ranch. Like that, I think would be so cool. Just new to Texas, doesn't matter size, doesn't matter, but just kind of tell your story about what brought you here to Texas and how you have been impacted by Texas. That's an action item for me.
I'd love to. Look, what you do during South by Southwest here is a game changer. And I think, South by brings a lot of people into Texas that have never been here before, but they only get exposure to Austin.
Right.
And they don't have a chance to wander around to maybe Houston or Dallas. So, yeah, I think there's huge opportunity there. I mean, I always love working with you guys.
I love it. Yeah. Well, Ed, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And if nothing else, man, we'll come up with the programming ourselves where we can piggyback and do more. And I know you're going to be doing more of your own podcast here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.